30-20, 8-5, and 6-2 versus Terran, including his win versus Maru. So most people are voting for him. In fact, all 6 commentators, I believe, doing this. First time versus sKyHigh. So we'll see if he can actually make this happen. sKyHigh, 4-5 this season, 0-2 versus Terran. However, look at his total games played. He has played 164 matches, I believe, if I read that correctly. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of experience. Yeah, BrAvO played Starcraft 1 at the end of it as well. But sKyHigh, man, he is CJ Indus's most loyal player. And he has a ton of experience in this high-pressure situation where it's all about closing it out. Can BrAvO bring us to the ace match? He is the favorite. He has an incredible Terran versus Terran. It's time to go into Vaani Research Station for our 4th and final mirror matchup of the night. Up here to the north in red for Samsung, it's BrAvO. And down here in the blue, it's sKyHigh. All right, BrAvO needs a win here. A win versus CJ Indus for Samsung would almost certainly secure them victory going into, or at least secure them a spot going into the playoffs because they beat some of the toughest teams. They will have to face SK next week, I believe. But you know, it would be a good kind of springboard for them because, you know, when you beat a team like Prime or a team like MVP, it's not the win that you want to brag about. Somewhere you're like, all right, well, thank God we got +2 on that one. Or versus Prime, oh my God, we only got +2. This is a problem, sort of thing. But to beat a great team like CJ Indus would be good for their morale. And also, of course, would leave them with some of the weaker teams to beat to finish off. They beat Jin Air as well already. So they've got to fight MVP and SK, I believe, the last 2 matches they have after this one. There's probably another one I'm missing, but Spano, I guess, if they haven't played already. Anyway, I'm like getting into the nebulous parts of my brain where I forget like certain minute details. We're gonna see a gas first here for sKyHigh. And a gas first for BrAvO, but slightly later. In fact, 24 gas later. Which is actually quite significant. He just mined a little bit more minerals, like 30 more minerals for it. So, yeah, the trade-off is fairly similar. He gets a little bit more money, but his gas is slightly delayed. Jinzi can instantly get his orbital when that barracks finishes, but sKyHigh can also get his faster because barracks can finish faster. Just a slight variation on the build. If you look at the resources at the top right, you can see the difference. I don't need to explain it anymore, I guess. Getting too technical here. So look, he has his barracks finished first, but he hasn't started. There it goes. Reaper, faster orbital for BrAvO, faster factory as well. Let's look at those resources. Actually, it lines up better for him because of the Reaper. So he's going to have a faster factory anyways. And a Marine out. But the Reaper can do damage versus this, especially if he goes right into a reactor after that first Marine. We saw this in the previous TBT. If you only have 1 Marine out when the Reaper arrives, sometimes you can have a lot of trouble defending. So let's see. He's actually going into a Reaper afterwards, though. So 1 Marine into Reaper. In fact, did he cancel that Marine? I'm like all tangled up on my cords over here. I'm going to check. Yeah, he canceled it. So smart. Getting extra money. Defensively, this Reaper will be out in time. No problem. Easy peasy. Let's see where he sends it. If it goes across the map, whoever fires first wins. Okay, he sees it. He's going to try to get that high ground advantage. Okay. A victory for BrAvO here. Forcing to retreat. CC is going down for both players behind this. It is most likely we will see a lot of mech play on this map. bio drops are strong, but players have basically figured out how to make turrets and have Vikings defend the backdoor expansion. So, you know, that sort of thing is popular overseas. Like, you might see that in a lower level TVT, say in like North America or in Europe. But in Korea, we're just not really seeing it on this map. And already we have masses to Hellions, Marine production cut. The Barracks is just an add-on maker at this time for these two players. So this is going to be mech versus mech, almost 100%. Backdoor expansion is basically free when you have this, so no worries about holding that, getting your extra gases, starting your initial production of those expensive mech units. 2 Reaper, 2 Hellion from sKyHigh. Wants to go out and do a little bit of pressure, put on a little bit of mischief, perhaps control the watchtower, give the illusion that he might be doing something as a follow-up, just try to take some vision away. The watchtower here is controlled, so you can actually try to cut this Reaper off on the high ground. Let's see if he can get it. Oh, he missed it. That's too bad. Reaper should actually come in here and get a scout now. And say, oh, we're doing the same thing. Look at that. TVT, Korean meta. See who does it better. Is he actually going to get a kill with that Reaper? Yes, maybe 2. 1. Meanwhile, he's actually, while he's microing that, going to come in here and ambush these units. This is a great tactic. We see this at high-level StarCraft 2 all the time in Korea. You know he's microing something else, and you just rush right in at that moment. You take opportunity of it, and he's actually taking a great trade here. The Viking on the low ground is going to make this a little bit tougher, but he gets a good exchange. The Reaper, on the other hand, does get 3 kills, and he, at the very end there, didn't get much more done with that, so that ended up being kind of even. It was a good opportunity for sKyHigh, though, and I definitely don't blame him for trying that. 3rd CC started for BrAvO. Let's see if sKyHigh does the same. Doesn't have enough money to do so just yet. He's adding more Vikings more quickly. He's adding, you know, he's added a lot more SCVs in, so he's got, he's put more money into that. Vikings faster, etc. So, as you can see, sKyHigh is up significantly in supply, but he's not going to be able to hurt BrAvO for this 3rd CC anytime soon. Sending these 2 Vikings across the map to perhaps try to win a fight. He might try to do drop harass with them. That's a bit crazy. Looks like just checking the watchtower and trying to intercept any possible drops they might have missed. Or, you know, like a Banshee transition or something, which he knows isn't coming, but it's just something like that. Basically just control that part of the map. Controls the watchtower now, starts his own 3rd CC. He didn't scout that BrAvO made a faster 3rd CC, so he doesn't know about that yet. So, his 3rd CC isn't on the low ground, which he would ideally like it to be, just like we saw in the previous TVT. If you scout that your opponent went for a faster 3rd CC in base, the way you catch up is you put it on yours on the low ground. And the trade-off ends up being fairly similar. Look at the resources lost for these 2 players. 9 and 9, like 17 resources off. Very, very similar. Double Armory coming up here first for BrAvO. Very expensive play from BrAvO. Very greedy. And sKyHigh is just trying to control this area, trying to trap him into his base. He's going to scan and run up here. There are 2 siege tanks out, but he's actually just going to try to run by. This is awkward, and he moved commands his Vikings way too far forward. Probably tried to shift-click those, but they get delayed. And this drop onto the tanks will get 1 tank, but everything else gets cleaned up. Worker count ends up being even. We have an awkward clap in the crowd on both sides. Nobody really knows who got ahead from there, but if you look at the resources lost, you can see BrAvO definitely more efficient there. He does have the faster 3rd CC. He has the faster double armory, so I like his position. He killed a tank and he killed a few SCVs, perhaps with the splash damage. Like, he didn't get the kills on screen. That's why you guys didn't see like the little SCV counter, but a few SCVs did go down. I think BrAvO in a better position, though. He's got the better infrastructure, and he can land his CC now. Something sKyHigh has still been unable to do. That 3rd base is starting to get its gases up and going. This Hellion squad constantly trying to find something. But he's really committing to these almost too much. Don't want to lose 4 Hellions for 1 SCV. Definitely not what he wants. So you see his armory starting to spin here. A scan goes down. He wants to see how many production facilities in the main base and what he's making. Are you making Thors? Are you making tanks? How many Hellions are you making? What are your add-ons? Also wants to see if there's delayed Banshees. This is a really important thing to know. Or like, are you going mass Viking? You're trying to do an air transition early. Got to be in control of that. And since he sees that he's not doing that, sKyHigh is taking his own air control. He's taking this into his own hands, trying to bolster his Viking count. He sees the reactor is coming up. He knows there's not too many Vikings out for sKyHigh, or excuse me, for BrAvO just yet, so he's trying to push that out a little bit, get his tanks up. Yeah, if you have air control and you have that tank control, and then you know that your opponent can't deal with your ground army with Banshees when you have air control. So even getting a Thor out just to be safe against this, because his tank count is fairly low right now. He needs to get more control over his third base, which is, he had it first. BrAvO had his third base first, but he didn't end up landing it for a while. So this game ends up kind of evening up here. I'm just staring at this production tab and saying all sorts of information that you guys can already see, but let me just gather my thoughts here. This watchtower will be taken by BrAvO initially, but Hellions will come and support this. The Hellion count bigger for sKyHigh right now, but there's more tanks for BrAvO, so it's tough for him to actually get in there. We're going to see the first Hellbat drops. So he gets the Thors out because his tank count's not that high, talking about BrAvO. He wants to control the air, make sure he's okay in that regard. He knows he has enough tanks to hold on. He knows he can turtle against these kind of drop plays. But this is the one hole in his defense. There's no turrets on either side of this. That scan from earlier is definitely going to give him a lot here. And now suddenly we have 8 Hellbat potential in the base. Looks like he's going to keep 4 in the Hellbats and 4 in Hellion mode to maximize damage here. Killing a lot of Hellions, a lot of SCVs. And Hellbats versus regular Hellions, usually the Hellbat's going to win that fight in most cases. Vikings having to be landed here to defend. But he didn't hit the third base while this is going on. 4 Hellbats going to be dropped here, but there's plenty of defense. Splitting them up here. Ooh, he's going to have to split his own Hellion, sends 3 to this side, and some friendly splash damage being done to the SCVs. A lot of kills going off here. A lot of kills. 11 kills. 12 kills. And again, that splash damage from the siege tanks definitely helping him finish those off. The bank is bigger for sKyHigh here, but he is down now 13 Harvesters. He has a large army lead, 72 to 60. But in this mech matchup, it's tough to actually take that and attack with it, do extra damage with it. All right, just looking at these unit counts. 10 Vikings to 6. I'm gonna go on my computer and tell you guys everything. 77 Harvesters to 65. Of course, you can see that already. Both players with 1 Thor. 10 Vikings for BrAvO to 6 of sKyHigh. And 6 tanks to 4 in BrAvO's favor. The Hellion count slightly in favor of sKyHigh, but these two are basically neck and neck when it comes to unit counts. They're very even. The upgrade lead, though, in BrAvO's favor quite significantly. He's going to have a 2-plating lead, and actually going to have a +2 lead as well, briefly. He'll lose all of his Hellions here, though, losing map control. These Hellions aren't that useful. The tanks are the more important thing, the Vikings and the Thors. Hellions are good for run-bys and controlling the map and getting vision, but they're not they're not going to be the army unit when armies are so similar. Unlike our previous TVT, where it's just you have a massive advantage in Hellbats and you can just drop on top of everything. All right, that Thor shot was huge. Oh, and that second shot as well. These Thor shots are crazy. He's fighting under PDD. BrAvO needs to get back. Those Vikings insanely low. He actually needs a repair. Stop repairing those Hellions. The Vikings need more help. He's going to actually go for a drop here as he's pushed this back easily. To commit to that any further, to try to get vision on those tanks, try to siege forward, would cost him his Vikings. That Thor did way too much damage. Way too much. So now we're almost going into the Cold War phase of this matchup, where we're going to see a ton of orbitals being added, slow move-outs on the map, every now and then a Hellion harass, but mostly just positional play. Both players stockpiling factories, stockpiling, these siege tanks, trying to get the better max, trying to get the better bank, the better remax. It's 2-2 right now to +1. It's about to be +2 to 2-2. There we go. Good engagement here for sKyHigh. All these units in medevacs. He wants to drop on top with his air control. But he doesn't have air control, right? But he's trying to push these Vikings back and then drop on top. He's actually circumventing this army. He could turn those Thors around. There he goes. Look at that. Takes some Thor shots. He's actually somehow able to totally outmaneuver this army. If he could get a few good Thor shots off on these Vikings, it would be incredible. But instead, he actually has them fight Hellbats, and a lot of these Vikings kill those medevacs. These Vikings are doing a ton of damage. The Thors need to actually start fighting them. What are they doing? They're not fighting at all. They just lost huge chunks of SCVs down the bottom left as well. All you need to do is select his Thors and right-click on those Vikings. They're so low. They're so insanely low. Now he's doing it. Finally. Look at that. Look how low those are. He has to make sure he's targeting it. He gets into a decent position here with these Hellbats. Vikings land on top of the siege tanks and Thors. This is just a really good engagement for BrAvO overall because he has a larger army, and his Vikings did work, and he lost so many Hellbats. sKyHigh lost a lot of his army, which was in Hellbats. He lost his medevacs, which is his healing power for these. And don't forget that BrAvO has the upgrade lead. The upgrade count right now for these two, 2-2 to 2 +2 attack only. The armor nearly done for sKyHigh, but not done yet. So one lone siege tank, 7 kills. We'll get no more. Gold base is up now for BrAvO. So they both have the golds. You see another base being lifted. It's the 5th base. Over there top right. It's not actually landed. Something must be blocking it. A lot of scans going down here for BrAvO. He's trying to figure out the best way to approach this. He's 50 supply up, but defender's advantage in this matchup is insane. He has air control despite those Thors earlier. sKyHigh just did not utilize those Thors. sKyHigh is going to try to get a lot of SCV kills over here, and you know what? He's already gotten quite a few. 11 go down, 12, 13, 14, 14. Feels like Sesame Street. This planetary is going to get burst down by tanks in tank mode. BrAvO just bullying sKyHigh across the map with his better army. 20 army supply up now. A lot of SCVs went down, but it puts the worker count at even. And BrAvO already has the better tank count at 20 to 10. And of course with his air control, he can continue to use those to push through. And the army supply that you see, I mean, yeah, it's like 30 down for sKyHigh, but not only that, a lot of it is in Hellbats that aren't very useful. Because the Vikings are shutting them down in the medevacs, and they're never able to waddle past the siege tank count. It's basically the direct counter to Hellbats, his mass Viking tank. It's actually just going to drop tanks into this natural here. Leave several of them in tank mode, while having a few in siege mode to support. Look at that. Look how much damage he gets done. Just continue to this massive tank count. There's like tanks, tanks, more tanks, and a few Hellbats to stop any SCVs and try to kill. Just like a misclick on these Hellbats. Bit of a donation there. But he's going to kill this orbital. He's going to probably kill the second orbital. There's a lot of energy lost here. Hellbat's continuing to do damage. That's the one thing sKyHigh has been able to consistently do throughout this game is Hellbat harass. This orbital looks like it will fall without a repair, but the turret getting some massive kills, and actually that orbital will be saved. As you guys can see, the repair is ongoing. BrAvO needs to basically just solidify his forces together, group up, shut down this move out from sKyHigh, and then he'll be able to win the game. If he doesn't, however, if sKyHigh is able to take small skirmishes, take out some of these bases and actually control the ramp and stop reinforcements, perhaps he could force a favorable base trade. sKyHigh still has an opportunity to win this game. It's not looking good for him, but it's possible. This game is winnable. Okay, moving in here now is BrAvO's army trying to siege up the ramp. If you can siege up the ramp in TVT, it's usually game winning because if your opponent cannot move down the ramp, he's never going to be able to reinforce, and he's always going to be taking damage, even trying to leave his base, a very basic tenet of StarCraft, leaving your base. If you can't even do that, you're usually having a bad time. Meanwhile, sKyHigh is in a better position to continue to do damage here, and BrAvO is losing a few units sloppily as he tries to overextend close to that main base. Here comes that siege up from sKyHigh. He's going to try to take out that base, that planetary. We'll take it out with a few volleys easily. Kind of resetting the base count a little bit here. Unfortunately, though, sKyHigh isn't really able to mine from his bottom left base. This is going to become a problem. That's hilarious, that Widow mine. He's actually going to try to turn around and go for a flank here. Using Hellbats to drop on top of these tanks. Going for the flank here. Tanks in tank mode. SCVs. He's going to try to break out. This could work. This would be crazy, but it's absolutely possible. He crushes the left side of the tanks, and the right side of the tanks are now exposed. SCVs coming in there. They're not the best control on that one siege tank, but he's going to be able to kill these tanks as well. And he pushes this back. The problem is he has no workers, Army supplies are basically dead even, so he wants to fight as much as he can right now because there's not much transition for him. He's got a few orbitals to continue to drop mules to survive in this game, to make a few tanks here and there. But if you look at the production tab, it's 4 tanks being produced constantly right now. Consistent 4-tank production from BrAvO. 1 SCV in production currently for sKyHigh. Okay. He's coming in here. This is his last opportunity. This is his last real chance in this game. It all comes down to this. This drop spots it. Thor should probably just ignore that and join the rest of the army. A lot of these tanks are low for sKyHigh as well. Keep in mind, much of the army supply for BrAvO isn't these Vikings, but it's helping zone out those Hellbats. The Thor's not able to get close enough because there's too much siege tank support. A little bit more SCV harassment over here. Going to even up the supplies a little bit more, a tiny bit more. But killing SCVs isn't going to matter if he can never kill the army because he's never going to remake one. He's never going to have an economy to remake one. Again, look at those unit supplies. 19 tanks to 9. 7 Vikings continue to control the air. That orbital is being sent over to the gold base, but gas is more of the issue. Gas is what he needs more than anything else. He's not even rebuilt that refinery in the bottom left. It's something he's definitely going to want. He's actually forced to retreat here. And that should be checkmate. He leans back in his chair. You can see that face. That's the face of defeat. TVD is a matchup where it's really easy to catch up if your opponent walks into your tanks and makes a huge mistake. It happens a lot on the ladder. Doesn't happen so much in Pro League. All these tanks, again, in red, yellow. As you guys can see, the observer keeps highlighting it. sKyHigh is never able to find position. He is trying to get his economy back alive. It's just not happening. He does replace that refinery finally. He's working on it. Oh, taking way too much damage here. And look at this. At this point, BrAvO has enough to try to attack from 2 sides. He actually gets cold feet, though, and decides not to. We know more Hellions going for an attempt to harass. Mules. SCVs going in for that gold base. He misses his opportunity on the siege. He's going to take so much damage here. Loses 4 more siege tanks. I think he's going to type out. Takes his hand off the keyboard briefly. The production tabs tell the story. The supplies tell the story. He has no way back into this. BrAvO's playing too safe. He's like bringing a lot of his army back to defend this. But what he doesn't know is how ahead he is and how low a lot of this army is. The vision advantage. He could kill every last SCV and it wouldn't matter. He already still has double the SCV count with the SCVs he's already lost here. And he's going to actually deny this mining at this base. He actually just needs to hit that D key. Do it. Observer's like, awkward. Okay. That should be it. He like threw his hands in the air. All these scans going down. Just trying to find this army and kill it one more time because that's all he has to do. sKy's head tilts in the perfect GG position. He's actually now just BMing him with the scans. I jest. He's not. He's just trying to make sure that if any of the tanks go in there in vision. GG. And the crowd screams and goes crazy. BrAvO has a ton of fans here in Korea. Most of them younger fans. Younger fangirls. And, you know, he's a great player. Amazing in this matchup. Sending him out on the Terran Nav is always a great decision. And Samsung will force the ace versus CJ. And this begs the question, who will the ace players be? Who is coming out here? And Samsung's great moment for an opportunity. Remember, the winner of this match will take a 3-1. The loser takes a 2-2. They're both on 2-1 currently. This is a huge moment for these two teams compared to each other. And these are going to be the teams that are fighting in pole position for those very, very important 3rd and 4th place playoff spots. You know, like 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are usually the spots that get fought at. You see usually MVP and Prime at the bottom. You've got, you know, SK at the top. In this case, SK is way at the top. Prime's at the bottom. And you've got all those teams fighting it out. Even Jenner towards the bottom.